So much of life lately has been about taking action in the world, in your public life, in ways that you can see on the surface of earthly existence. But as we all know, so much of our experience is felt and processed in personal, private, underneath realms. And so many of our actions and responses are driven by underlying forces, the underworld of our deep emotions, motivations, what we are afraid of, and what we fiercely but maybe secretly desire. This week's full moon in Scorpio could find you teetering on the edge of a deep, deep pool. The surface might show reflections of life around you, the trees, the people, the places, while the depths below are mesmerizing, compelling, and magnetic. And you may be required to dive into that pool, to dive down deep, deep below, even to go right down to the bottom, to the dark depths. And what is at the bottom of the pool? What is down below in the shadowy reaches of your mind, your psyche? What lies beneath or behind some of the events or situations in your life right now? The full moon in Scorpio is one of the most emotionally intense moments of the year. The full moons, plus some other transits going on, will light up some hidden factors, uncover underlying motivations, reveal deep fears or points of pain, deep desires, and impart secrets. Hello and welcome to this video. My name's Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar. In this video, I'm going to talk about the transits of the week beginning Sunday, the 26th of April, or Monday, the 27th of April, and go through those transits one by one with an overview of the week. And then we're going to look at the full moon in the sign of Scorpio. We'll look at the chart of the moon. We'll look at the other aspects happening. It's an intense time of the year. We always have a full moon in Scorpio around about now, and the emotions can be heightened with a full moon anyway, but Scorpio brings up the depths. Scorpio is about the underlying stuff, so we'll talk about that in the video. You can jump ahead to any part of the video that you like. I finish with a sign-by-sign breakdown so that you can see what part of your chart and your life this full moon will be affecting according to your sun, moon, or rising sign. A little bit more about myself. I make calendars like this one for New Zealand and this one for Australia. I am based in New Zealand, but this astrology is for the whole world. All of these transits and aspects and the lunar month itself, they are affecting all of us, just they change a little bit according to the part of the world that you are in, according to the time that they take place. And the only other thing that changes, of course, is the season. So currently where I am in Aotearoa or New Zealand, I'm in autumn. We're in autumn here, and you guys in the Northern Hemisphere are in springtime. So here, I'm sure that if you're from New Zealand and you're watching, you'll be aware it's getting darker, it's getting colder, and there's definitely more rain lately. Anyway, so greetings to you wherever you are. Kia ora if you're from New Zealand, or greetings if you're from any other part of the world. So I'm going to start with an overview of the week coming up. So as we go into this week, we are embarking on this new chapter of life, the next 7 years of Uranus in the sign of Gemini. It has just moved in. It moves in on Saturday or Sunday, depending on what part of the world you're from. You can go back to my video to learn all about that disruptive and awakening influence. And then an overview of this week. Well, this is what I said. This week is about deep ways to connect and intense emotions. That is because of some Venus transits with Pluto and Mercury with Chiron and the full moon in the sign of Scorpio. Here's an image from the Australian calendar showing the lunar month of Aries, because this lunar month began with the new moon in the sign of Aries in those late degrees. And you can see there the moon starts as a dark moon and then it gets brighter and brighter. We can see more and more of the moon, and then everything is revealed. The whole of the moon is revealed at the full moon. So this is an image just showing the grid part of the lunar month, and we are in, oops, knocked my microphone. We are in that middle week of the lunar month, and the full moon there, it's on the 1st or the 2nd of May, the full moon in the sign of Scorpio. And here are the transits and aspects of the week, one by one. Okay, Sunday the 26th or Monday the 27th, Venus is sextile to Neptune. Nice. Mercury is square to Jupiter on the same day. On Tuesday the 28th or Wednesday the 29th, Venus is trine to Pluto, so that's bringing out some depth of connection. And then Friday the 1st or Saturday the 2nd, we have three things on the same day. The full moon in the sign of Scorpio, Venus sextile Saturn, serious, Mercury conjunct Chiron, and then the next day, Mercury, after its journey through Aries, moves into Taurus. So this week's transits and aspects, I have declared to myself that I will not talk too much for each of these. I think I go on a bit too long with them, so I'm going to try and do 1 or 2 minutes max per transit. Okay, Venus sextile to Neptune. Neptune is still at the very beginning degrees of Aries, and after its amazing ingress, its very rare ingress into Aries earlier this year in January, and Venus is now at the beginning of Gemini. So they are in a 60-degree aspect. This is an aspect of support, and if you take some action, you can encourage some sweet comfort and sweet connection with Venus. And with Neptune, imagination, romance, a little bit of glamour maybe, creativity, poetry, music, and art. Bring those two together. This could be great for a really beautiful way to enjoy creativity and sensual pleasures with it, like playing some music with your friends, and also go on a date, like organize date night or a really nice connecting time with somebody that you care about. I hope that was short. Short enough. Oh yeah, okay, in the calendar I said create beauty, spiritual connection, and compassion. Right. And then we're going on to Mercury square to Jupiter. Not as easy and flowing, but not too bad, because Jupiter is a benefic and it encourages expansion, optimism, lucky opportunities, and confidence. Mercury is the communicator, the writer, the speaker, the thinker, the analyzer, and discerner. Okay, so Jupiter expands what it touches. Mercury is about communication. We can be thinking more expansively, getting big ideas, making big plans. The only thing to avoid is to not go too far, because the square aspect with Jupiter encourages us to get a little bit overconfident, over the top, over enthusiastic, especially as Mercury is in Aries at the moment, which is all about go, 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 and has a lot of confidence and boldness. So avoid going over the top, but it is a good opportunity to make big plans, think expansively, and with confidence, and the idea of going for greater ideals, because Jupiter is about truth and justice. And then on Tuesday the 28th or Wednesday the 29th, Venus is trine to Pluto. Venus is about relationships, it's about money, it's about resources and the sensual pleasures and the material parts of life, so possessions and aesthetics as well, beauty, and very much about, as I said, relationships and how we connect. And Pluto is about deep underlying motivations and fears. And I'll be talking about Pluto a bit more later, because it's one of the rulers of the full moon in Scorpio, because Pluto is a modern ruler of Scorpio. Okay. So Pluto can be really hard. It can be transformative, but through some really hard stuff. So if you're going through a Pluto transit, as people in Aquarius are certainly doing, especially early Aquarius at the moment, that is really hard. It can feel like it turns you inside out. However, with a trine aspect, that is supportive, and Venus is a benefic. So this is a supportive aspect for deepening our understanding of someone else, like deepening connection, deepening intimacy even. It could be wonderful in that way. And also understanding maybe some underlying things about your attitudes to money and resources. Okay. So in the calendar, I said deep understanding in relationships, and there is potential for passion and there is potential for transformation with it. And then on Friday the 1st or Saturday the 2nd of May, we have the full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio. And these are the times that the full moon is occurring. So 22 minutes past the hour. So it's earlier in the morning in LA, afternoon in New York. London, it's in the evening of the 1st of May. And in Australia and New Zealand, we have it on very early in the morning on Saturday. Okay, I'll talk more about this later in the video. Then we have Venus sextile Saturn. As I said before, Venus is about relationships, finances, money, possessions, resources, aesthetics, beauty, and connection. And Saturn can be a downer. Saturn is serious and it's responsible, and it's about the long term and commitment and being dutiful, responsible, and showing up for hard work and working steadily at things. Actually, so Saturn can be a downer, but actually you want that commitment, and you want to have this commitment to working hard in relationships. So this could be a good opportunity to be talking about relationships, or to be talking about or planning some budgeting or some new processes with your money. It's a sextile aspect, so that is supportive. So what I've said there in the calendar, there is support with this aspect for long-term goals and finances, relationships, and in one's sense of self-worth, which is another aspect of Venus. And then on the same day, depending on where you are in the world, Mercury is conjunct Chiron. So Mercury is conjunct Chiron. Mercury, again, it's about communication, talking and thinking, writing, speaking in public or in private, connecting with others, trade and exchange. It's about a whole lot of things. But let's think about the communication and the thinking. This could be a good opportunity to express, to verbally explore, or with your writing, if you do journaling, or if you do stream of consciousness, verbalization, thinking, just maybe voice recorder, or just talking out loud to yourself. Maybe that's tapping. I've forgotten what it's called, but when you do that tapping and you're talking through stuff, it might help you to explore and understand and heal even some underlying wounds that you have, because Chiron has underlying wounds, and that can come from childhood. They can be about shame and not belonging. This could also be helpful if you're talking to a doctor or a health professional, a healer, whether they are an alternative energetic healer or mainstream, because there could be some news that helps you understand something about an illness or an injury that you've got. Okay, so you could get some ideas and plans to help with any kind of wounding or illness, whether that's emotional or physical. And finally, for this week, on Saturday the 2nd or Sunday the 3rd of May, Mercury moves into Taurus. This is another little bit of a relief, like last week when the Sun moved into Taurus, because it's breaking up some of that powerhouse Aries stellium that we've had with. There were 7 planets and points in Aries at one time with the last new moon. Actually, it was crazy. So there's still a whole lot of energy in Aries, because there's still Chiron, Saturn, Neptune, and Mars really powering it up. But Mercury moving out and into Taurus, that's going to be encouraging more peaceful communication at the very least, more thinking about peace, and also more focus and thinking and communication about resources and possessions and the tangible aspects of life. It could be more earthy and practical, like I've said there. And to finish off the weekly transits, here are the upcoming astrological events. On the 6th or 7th of May, Pluto stations retrograde, the first of the planets to station retrograde. It's been unusual over the last few weeks to have everyone moving forward. On the 16th or 17th of May, a new moon in the sign of Taurus, bringing about the Taurus lunar month. And then at the end of May, a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. So I'll be reporting on these as we go through. So the full moon in Scorpio, that's what I'm going to talk about now. And I just thought before I go to the slideshow, I might just, I don't know, just make up some stuff. I want to say that I really like Scorpio. It can get a bad rap because it's really intense, and with all the underlying kind of power and even magic about Scorpio, people can be a bit fearful of it because, and there can be fear involved, but I really believe that just these all the underlying layers of ourselves and the underlying layers of what occurs in the world, that's what's driving everything. And Scorpio is a chance to remember that and acknowledge that and acknowledge the power and again the magic of it, because it can be alchemizing the transformation that you can achieve by understanding your deep selves, your deep self is amazing. It can be, miraculous. Okay, and also it goes along with Chiron as well, and Chiron is part of this upcoming full moon, as you'll see when we do the chart. Those underlying layers, and with Chiron, the underlying wounds, but with Scorpio, underlying fears and underlying desires and underlying trauma. Okay, I do think if we didn't have all the underlying trauma that is driving so much of our patterns, our behaviors, our responses, our fears, and our desires, we would have a much happier world. I think so much of the hard stuff that drives us to speak nastily to each other, to chase things that are not really good for us, and the conflicts that we're seeing around the world are because of trauma that makes us feel like we don't have enough, that we're grasping and seeking, and these patterns of behavior that are driven by some kind of survival instinct are programmed into our reptilian brain, our brain stem, and we don't have a lot of control over them. But by exploring whatever's gone on underneath and acknowledging and seeing it and bringing light to it, then there can be healing. Anyway, Scorpio can help with that, and also just understanding these underlying energies that go on that are not on the surface and are very powerful. So let's look at the full moon in the sign of Scorpio at 11 degrees 20 minutes of Scorpio. Okay, this is what I said about it in the calendar. So the full moon in Scorpio, a culmination point for deep feelings, deep research, and underlying layers. Speaking about or healing inner wounds can help, and that is with Mercury conjunct Chiron. Okay, and the main energy of that full moon will last for 2 or 3 days, but it's also setting up a tone for the following fortnight and even for the following 6 months until there's a new moon in the sign of Scorpio later in the year. Okay, anytime that we've got the full moon, it's a culmination point. There's higher energy with all the light of the moon revealing the emotions of the moon. And the light can also reveal secrets. So things can come out of the closet with a full moon, or things can just be obvious that we didn't realize before. And that is all the more so with Scorpio, because Scorpio can be very much about secrets and the hidden stuff in the shadows. Okay, the full moon is a great time to offer gratitude and appreciation for everything around you. And with a culmination point, it might be that there's a peak moment in something that you've been working on since new moon, or something that you've been working on more long term. And it's a good moment to think, okay, I've got to this point in this project, and that's good. There's been progress, and you can congratulate yourself and give thanks, whether it's just within yourself or in general, for the help that you've received along the way. Okay. All right, so Scorpio, let's look at the sign of Scorpio, and it's kind of great, in my opinion, to have some energy on the other side of the chart after all that. Very, very strong Aries energy, and before that, the powerhouse of Pisces, with Neptune and Saturn there for so long, and now we've got some energy in Taurus, but Scorpio's on the opposite side of the chart from all of that. Scorpio is about hidden layers of power, underlying motivations, the esoteric or the occult. It's about knowledge, it's about deep research. And if you're a person who doesn't want to think about all the underlying psychological layers or occult or esoteric matters, of course, I like that kind of stuff because I'm into astrology and it's a little bit similar. But this might just, if you've got a lot of Scorpio in your chart, this might just come out as you like to do detective work. You like to go down into the underneath and find out where the money is behind something, going down deep into the hidden layers of information that could be available if you seek it. Scorpio is also about transformation and mysteries. And the ancient ruler of Scorpio is Mars. And of course, Mars is a prominent planet at the moment. It takes around 2 years to go around the chart, and it's spending about 6 weeks at the moment in the sign of Aries. And Mars is also the ruler of Aries. So Mars is very empowered with this full moon, and it will be bringing out and encouraging some of the determination and intensity and strategic power of Scorpio. Okay. And then the other ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, the modern ruler of Scorpio. Pluto shows up more of those underlying deep layers in terms of Scorpio. Okay, so deep desires, underlying motivations, transformative power, magnetic intensity, and Pluto brings out, along with Mars, a very strategic approach to life that Scorpio can be very good at. And here is a chart of the full moon, so Friday the 1st or Saturday the 2nd of May. All right, so let's look at that. First of all, here is the moon in the sign of Scorpio, 11 degrees 20. On the opposite side of the chart is the sun in the sign of Taurus at 11 degrees of 20. And anytime we have a full moon, there is that opposition of the sun and moon. They are pulling across the sky. One's going that way, one's going the other way, but they're attracted to each other at the same time. The opposition, opposites attract, and opposites are very different, of course. Taurus is all about tangible things, about what we can see, touch, taste, and feel on earth, physical presence, whereas Scorpio is about the unseen, underlying mysteries that we can't touch, but the moon is going to help us to see some of them. Okay, there's a yod formed by this full moon. Okay, and I don't normally look at yods, but this was such an obvious one, I thought I would mention it. So Saturn and Venus are sextile with each other, as you would have seen in the transits I talked about earlier. And so they're in a supportive aspect with each other, but they're in a inconjunct. Each of them is in an inconjunct or a quincunx with the moon. So different element, different modality, different sign, lots of different feelings about these. Okay, so the moon will not be matching these but they are forming this isosceles triangle that's putting extra focus on the moon and perhaps bringing about an extra sense of purpose with that full moon, but also some extra tension. And then here we have, so it's not in the same sign as the sun or the moon, but Mercury in a very close conjunction, applying conjunction with Chiron. So this is an added reason why I feel some of the underlying layers that can be revealed with the moon could be some of the inner wound that you could have carried over from childhood about belonging, an attachment wound, or it could be about illness or injury. There could be some news about that that comes up at the time of the moon, or there could be a good opportunity to explore emotional or physical wounds, to do research on that, especially with Scorpio's ability to research deeply. So now I'm going to do a sign by sign breakdown about this full moon in the sign of Scorpio and how it might be affecting you and your chart. So you can listen. I recommend most of all that you listen for your rising sign, the ascendant sign, the sign that was coming up on the horizon at the moment that you were born. That sets up the house system for your chart and the parts of life and how you experience those parts of life. You could also listen for your sun sign, which will be more about your basic purpose on earth or your career or um, creative expression on earth. And your moon sign could be more about how you respond to things, how you receive things, your emotions and your feelings about things. Like I said, I do recommend that the rising sign is the most important one to listen to, but of course you might not know your time of birth, in which case you can listen to the sun and moon signs. Okay, the full moon in Scorpio at 11 degrees 20 minutes, a culmination, revelation perhaps, emotional intensity, bringing out or showing up psychological layers, the shadow side, underlying motivations and fears, and maybe their root causes. Emotions coming to the surface, showing up power dynamics in a situation you might be dealing with, bringing up topics of shared resources. This is another Scorpio thing, and there is potential for transformation through this. Not easily achieved, not easy, not easy to go through, but this could be a result, and you might not know until later that, oh wow, that's awful, horrendous, painful, emotional experience actually helped me to transform, and I am a bigger, better, wiser, stronger person because of it. I hope that for you. I hope it's not too rough, but I hope that for you, that you have that great result. Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, this full moon is happening in your first house. You have this once a year Scorpio. It's an intense time of the year. It's really supportive, not necessarily in an easy way, of your personal transformation. And it could be revealing some underlying stuff, some way down deep stuff about you could come to light with the light of the moon. It gives you the chance to work on it, to work through it, and to look at it in an honest way, like Pluto, because Pluto will be searingly honest and showing up hidden stuff underneath. So get into your psychology. Feel comfortable with that, Scorpio. I think that you normally do. And even if it's not about psychology, it could be revealing some aspects of your life and about your identity that you weren't aware of. Okay, so culmination, revelation, emotional intensity, and all of your deep psychological layers, perhaps a chance to use some esoteric or occult tools or practices to help you, and to know that you are a very powerful being, Scorpio. You have magnetism, you have kind of mysterious charisma and strong attractiveness with that. And the moon is lighting you up at the moment. It might be also revealing something about your body, because the first house is about your body. And also, you're looking out from your first house at all other aspects of life. So especially the houses on the angles, your relationships with especially intimate partners or business partners, your home and family, your ancestry, those roots, those foundations, and your career, what you do in the world, what you're known for, the legacy that you want to leave behind. These are some of the areas that especially could come up, but any part of your life could be. You could be seeing it in a different way. There could be a revelation. Everything starts from your first house. You're looking out at all of your life, and it's a good time to be reviewing your life and thinking about with gratitude and appreciation but an honest eye at how the last 6 months, how the last year has been for you. So this is an internal process, Scorpio, but you're good at this internal stuff and going down into the depths, and I wish you the best for that. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising, but especially Sagittarius rising, the full moon in Scorpio, which happens once a year, so it is relatively familiar, it does happen in a secret and private part of your chart, Sagittarius, and with you having Scorpio in the 12th house, because it takes place in your 12th house, Scorpio is a hidden sign, and then Scorpio occupies your 12th house. And Sagittarius, you are really out in the world person. What you see is what you get with Sagittarius. You say it like it is, you're straightforward, and you go after what you want with enthusiasm and boldness in the world. You seek horizons, you love exploring, but the exploring you normally like to do is of philosophy books and spirituality that's existing in the world. You like learning about that and soaking it up. It's also about horizons, like the actual geographical horizons around you. You love to gallop off on adventures and learn about, travel the world and learn about other cultures and explore the world, the actual earth. Whereas this full moon is lighting up a part of your chart that's about the inside, the underneath, the hidden. And it's also Scorpio, which is about the inside, the underlying, the hidden. So it's not quite as comfortable for you, Sagittarius, to be exploring these areas, but there's great benefit in it. And if the moon is lighting up something about you that's hidden, it could be really good. It could be uncomfortable. It might be that you realize you've got a pattern of behavior that's not helping you at all and it needs to end, like an addiction, for example. And addictions are so many things. It doesn't have to be an addiction to a substance. It could be something like working too hard or doom scrolling, whatever it is. Doing too much of something as an escape practice from facing up to something that you actually need to, some emotional pain that you might need to face up to. There also could be a revelation or a culmination point in something to do with a care home or a retreat place, a rest home, hospital, prison. If you've got any connections with any kind of hidden away places, this might come to a culmination point, an ending, or a revelation. Something is revealed. When I had a full moon in my 12th house this year, it was finding out that my dad was going to be moving care home. He was in my neighborhood in a rest home, and then he got moved to where my mum lives, about an hour away. So that was really nice for my mum, but for me it was an ending, a culmination point, and it was that's the sort of ending that you can have with a full moon in the 12th house and the more surface level. But in Sagittarius, I do encourage you to be doing some inward exploring, go down into the depths. You're an optimistic and confident sign, and if there is anything under there that's just making you a little bit false with your optimism or your confidence and your boldness and your enthusiasm, go down and explore it. This is a really good opportunity. So all the best for that, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Capricorn Rising, the full moon on the 1st or 2nd of May in the sign of Scorpio at 11 degrees is happening in your 11th house. This is a house of friendship groups, long-term goals, and also rewards that you get from your work. What you might find with this full moon is that something is revealed that you weren't aware of. For example, power dynamics in a friendship group. You might find out that something's been going on the underneath level. Somebody's had some hidden motivations or fears, even, and they're operating from that fear or that motivation you weren't aware of. It's somewhat significant. You notice it. It's something to take note of, and you'll be pleased to know about it, though it might not be easy. In terms of rewards from work, you might find out there's something about your workplace and the network or organization that you are connected to through your workplace. Again, it could be about power dynamics, or there's some kind of underlying motivation for yourself to explore and discover, and it will be helpful to know what it is. It could be an underlying motivation, or it could be an underlying fear, and this is an opportunity to go down deep and look at what that is and understand more about yourself because of it, more about the kind of work that you want to do and the kind of rewards that you want to gain from the work that you do. And this leads in also to the other thing about the 11th house, which is it's about long-term goals. And so if you've got a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or a long-term goal that you are slowly but steadily in your Capricorn way working towards, this is a good opportunity to be looking underneath at what's behind those goals. Do you really want them? Do you want to adjust them because of some underlying layers of hidden meaning that you might discover through the full moon? Definitely, this is a chance with this full moon to be going down in and underneath and within yourself. All right, so the 11th house is very much out in the world kind of house, but if you get the chance to have some quiet time to be processing any thoughts and feelings that are coming up, you might find out underneath you can understand more about yourself and your motivations. It helps with the long-term goals, with what kinds of benefits you want to gain from your work, and maybe understand something about what's going on in friendship groups or other networks. So all the best for that, Capricorn, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Aquarius Rising, the full moon in the sign of Scorpio at 11 degrees is a culmination point or a revelation, and there's emotional intensity in your 10th house of your career and your public reputation, how you're known in the world, and even the legacy that you leave behind. This is an angular house, a very important house, and the full moon happens once a year, and it can reveal secrets. It can reveal things about your career or about your workplace that you didn't know. Underlying things, maybe power dynamics. It is also a chance for you to look inside at your underlying motivations with your career. Is it what you want? Are you heading towards a legacy that you really want to leave behind? Or if you're noticing that you're sort of driven by some sort of feelings that you don't know what they are, and you're realizing you're making decisions about things, about projects that you're choosing or ways of working on projects, perhaps there's something to understand about why you're doing that. Aquarius, it can be hard for you at times to look underneath and down within yourself at what goes on underneath what's on the surface. You're a very rational sign. You're a genius sign, and you're so innovative and ingenious, as I was talking about last week in the video about Uranus, which rules you, your modern ruler. but you're so much out in the world and you're so much thinking about your brothers and sisters of humanity and how to solve all our problems that you can forget about your own self and your own deeply personal side. And this full moon might be bringing out some stuff to do with that. And it could be really helpful to let yourself go through the discomfort of exploring it, because you might understand more about what you want from your career. And is this career that you're in the right one for you? And understand maybe some power dynamics that are going on, understanding yourself with that, or maybe they're going on, power dynamics are going on a lot on with colleagues around you or bosses or something like that. So you're very rational, Aquarius, but this is a chance to look at the less rational. It is all rational, but it's if it's very hidden, you don't always know the programs, the underlying programs of fear and motivation that could be driving you, and this moon will help you look at some of those. So all the best for that, and please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Pisces sun, moon or rising, like me, I'm Pisces rising and Pisces moon. On the 1st or 2nd of May, the full moon in Scorpio at 11 degrees is taking place in our 9th house. This is a culmination point, possibly a revelation point, and a moment or a few days of intensity around our 9th house of travel, spiritual belief systems, or higher learning. So we could be looking underneath at some motivations and underlying psychological layers that are affecting the ways that we want to explore the world and understand the meaning of life and seek to understand the meaning of life. So, how do you seek to understand the meaning of life? For me, currently, over the last few years, that has very much been about astrology and realizing that astrology can really help me understand a lot about that. But for you, it will be something different. And of course, it's not just astrology for me. There's always going to be many ways that we are seeking to understand and to learn from understandings and others' teachings about the meaning of life. Okay, so there could be a moment where you realize something about a course of study that you're doing, because the 9th house is very much about higher learning, especially when that higher learning is helping us understand the meaning of life, for example, philosophy or spiritual practices. But it can be anything where you're getting into some really high level knowledge, specialized knowledge. It can also be about travel, and there could be some revelation about travel or about some journey plans that you've got. Maybe you're looking into some deeper motivations or fears around some travel plans. I can actually see how that could apply to me because there are possibly some need to travel coming up. Okay, and you can be going down and looking at the root causes. Pisces, I think that we're quite comfortable about getting into our underlying emotions and deeper layers, and so that could be quite easy for us. Nevertheless, this won't necessarily be an easy full moon, and there's also that conjunction between Mercury and Chiron, so some kind of healing needed in our 2nd house of finances as well. So have a look at your philosophies of life, your understanding of the meaning of life, your spiritual belief system. Is it really serving you? Do you really feel like it's true? What is underneath? Are you driven in it by fear or by some other motivation? So all the best for that, Pisces, and please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Aries, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Aries rising, the full moon in the sign of Scorpio on the 1st or 2nd of May 2026 is happening at 11 degrees of Scorpio in your 8th house. This is a house of other people's money, shared resources. It's a culmination moment an opportunity for revelation and opportunity to be exploring underlying layers, and it could be emotional intensity around it. The eighth house, as well as being about shared resources and your partner's money, can also be about shared intimacy, and there could be some understanding to be gained by going into some shadow side, going into the underlying what is going on for you and for your partner in your shared intimacy. If you have a partner, if you don't have a partner, or even if you do, you can also be looking at your own underlying psychological layers. This is a great opportunity that happens once a year because there's a full moon in your eighth house once a year. It's a chance to go down deep. And Aries, you're such a go-getter. You're such a go-getter. You're so confident and bold, and you're out in the world, the obvious seen, visceral world. But this is more about getting down underneath into the hidden realms and being prepared and patient enough to do that. And I hope that you feel okay with that, because it's not always easy. And Aries, you've got some such big stuff going on for you these days. You've got Saturn and Neptune in there doing a whole lot to you, and Mars, of course, that's making you strong. But Saturn is not easy, it's restrictive. It could be bringing some really hard stuff in your life over the next couple of years. With this full moon, be strong. I advise you to be strong and look at whatever's going on underneath. You've also got Chiron. Gosh, you've had Chiron in your sign, the wounded healer, possibly bringing illness, injury, or awareness of attachment wounds. Since 2019, it's going to be moving out later this year and next year, but it's there right now. So go down deep. Go down deep and see what's going on. There may be some news of illness or injury that comes along with Mercury conjunct Chiron. I hope that's okay for you. But, there's a great potential for transformation with this. Mercury could be providing the information, bringing stuff to the surface that needed to be brought up. The moon could be lighting up things that you didn't know about yourself, or things you didn't know about shared resources with your partner. And that also could include things like inheritances, taxes, large amounts of money, retirement savings, that you don't normally have access to that money, but it is in your name or it's connected to you in some way. So there could be some power dynamics going on there. Anyway, Aries, just be prepared to go down into the deep, to be a little bit patient while you do that, and all the best for it. You guys are the pioneers. You are leading us. You're leading us in this whole new world that is emerging with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that occurred at the end of February. You're taking us off into this new journey, these unseen places and the unknown world that we haven't been to yet. You are the leaders of this. So we need you to be so powerful and to have some healing where you've got the chance to have some healing. So all the best, Aries, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Taurus rising, the full moon in the sign of Scorpio at 11 degrees of Scorpio on the 1st or 2nd of May is happening in your 7th house of partnership. So this is some kind of culmination or a culmination point or a revelation and a time of emotional intensity to do with your partner. So this could either be about your partner themselves, that they're going through something, a culmination moment, or there's something revealed about them, or something that they have come to understand about themselves, or they're going through an emotionally intense time. Or it could be about the relationship itself, the partnership itself. All right, so any of those things, a revelation about your partnership, a culmination point in your partnership. Maybe you reach a new level of understanding about your commitment to each other, some kind of emotional intensity. Some secrets could be revealed, some hidden truth, some underlying fears between you and your partner, or some underlying desires even and motivations could be revealed, and it can help you understand each other more, though it might not be easy to go through. Okay, Taurus, you have the sun lighting you up at the moment. You are shining in your peaceful and placid and steady ways, and we are very much in need of that with all that fiery Aries energy. Okay, but this is a chance to be looking past the tangible earthly things that you're so good at, Taurus, and looking down into the underneath. So I encourage you to do that and get the most out of the transformative potential of this full moon. And yeah, you might need to go down deep, but you'll be good. You'll be good with it. And if there's any power dynamics going on, to be addressing them honestly would be really good as well. And I just need to add, when I'm talking about partner, this can be an intimate partner, a life partner in a committed relationship, or it could be a business partner. It could be something to do with a client, or a healing professional relationship, anything where you're working or spending time on a one-to-one basis with somebody, any kind of partnership like that. So all the best, Taurus, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Gemini Rising, on the 1st or 2nd of May, there's a full moon in the sign of Scorpio at 11 degrees, and this is happening in your 6th house. This is about how you work in the world, the service that you give to the world in practical ways. It's also about how you look after your body and your health and your routines for life. So it's just actually how you do your life admin and keep your life organized as well, Gemini. Okay, so you might need to go down deep and look at some psychological layers with this. Okay, there could be some hidden power dynamics going on in the workplace, and they could be revealed by the light of the moon. Or you might find out something about your own motivations and fears. With any of these, do you have a fear of illness? Are you slightly hypochondriac? And that sounds very strong, but do you have a fear of illness? Do you have a fear that you're not healthy enough or strong enough? Maybe it's unfounded. Maybe you go into deeply exploring that and find out there's actually no foundation for that. It's just perhaps a family pattern that was in your family where there was a lot of fearfulness around that, and you've picked that up and it's affected your life. It could be something like that. You could be looking at also underlying motivations when it comes to how you organize your life on a daily basis. Maybe, Gemini, you're a butterfly. You're a social butterfly flitting around chatting to everybody, and you've got all this mutable energy that loves learning, and you're very light-hearted with that. You like the light and quick, and maybe you're a little messy because of that at times. And this could be a chance to look at your life and how you organize it and think, okay, I do need to cut a few things out of all these threads that I follow and explore, and be more focused and more streamlined perhaps. You've got a light-hearted energy, which is really lovely, and a busy energy, and it means you can get a lot of things done, but sometimes, like with this full moon, it's a good opportunity, and I recommend that you take some time for stillness and going down deep and looking at your underlying psychology and how that might be affecting your work, your daily work and routines, your routines for life, and your attitudes to health. Okay, so all the best for that, Gemini, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Cancer Rising, on the 1st or 2nd of May 2026, there's a full moon in Scorpio at 11 degrees, and this is happening in your 5th house. This is the house of romance, dating, your children, your creative fun, your hobbies, and it could be creative entrepreneurial creative entrepreneurial projects. Okay, so hobbies, like I said, and the ways that you're playful and have fun. So that is really lovely. But Cancer, you've got Scorpio in your fifth house, so you can be kind of intense about all of those, and it's part of that nurturing and wanting to look after things emotionally, especially your children and dating partners. You want to nurture and you want to be there deeply for them. The full moon might reveal some power dynamics that are going on, perhaps with your children, perhaps in the dating world. Don't shy away from this. Look at it properly. Go down deep if you need to and look at the hidden motivations and fears that could be coming from the others around you or from yourself and affecting your will with your children or with dating partners. Perhaps you need to take back some power and stop giving it away, but you've got a fear of losing them, or you've got some kind of mother guilt going on that you don't need to have, and it's affecting your firmness or your boundaries with your kids, something like that. This could equally happen with a dating relationship. And there might also be some motivations to explore, or fears to explore, even with hobbies. Are you enjoying your hobbies? Do you need to change them up a little bit? What's underneath? What is underlying? I have in recent years been doing tramping with my partner, and I get really stressed when I get left behind, like unduly. It's not just, I could rationally say to myself, just get over it. It doesn't matter if I'm not as fast as the others, but it really, really upsets me. And it would be good for me to go right down underneath. What is the fear there? There's some kind of big hard fear about being left behind or being not good enough or something. These are the sorts of things that you might explore in terms of hobbies. You might also look at it, any kind of creative block that you've got if you've been trying to do writing or art of some kind. Is there a block? Is there a confidence block? And you could maybe go down and look at that. You feel things deeply, Cancer, and Scorpio feels things deeply. So I think you will be okay about going down into the depths with this, into this internal exploration. So all the best for that, Cancer, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Leo Rising, the full moon on the 1st or 2nd of May in the sign of Scorpio at 11 degrees, that's happening in your 4th house of home and family, and it's a culmination point where secrets could be revealed and there could be extra emotional intensity about something to do with your family of origin, with the people that you live with the home that you're in. And it's a good chance for you to go down into some deep layers with yourself, Leo. Don't be afraid of going down underneath into the shadows and finding out about some exploring possible deep fears and emotions and motivations to do with your family of origin or to do with your home. Okay, what's going on down there? What's happened in the past? Some kind of secret or information could be revealed by the light of the moon that helps you learn about something from your past, from your ancestry. Is there a family skeleton about to come out of the closet? There also could be something to do with power dynamics in your family of origin or power dynamics in the home that you live in now, Leo. So be prepared to look into that, and all the best for this full moon, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Virgo Rising, on the 1st or 2nd of May, there's a full moon in the sign of Scorpio at 11 degrees, and this is in your 3rd house, Virgo. This is the 3rd house of your communication, your trade and exchange, networking, your thinking, your self-talk, also learning, courses, and short distance travel, and your community. So, are there some underlying power dynamics going on in your neighborhood? This can also be a house of relatives and siblings. Are there some power dynamics going on there? You might need to look down deeply into something that's going on in your community or something that's going on with your learning maybe a school that you have a connection to, or a course that you're doing, or lessons that you're doing in your neighborhood. What's going on underneath? And are your motivations true? Do you have some fears that you need to overcome? The light of the moon could reveal some of this. Virgo, you have a very practical and analytical approach to the world. With this full moon, the practical side won't be as helpful. You need to be looking at your emotions, but I think your analytical discernment might help. So, where you can be sifting through the things that are going on, maybe the talks between your brothers and sisters, or what's going on in the neighbors around you, and discern, this person is saying this, but do they really mean it? What's going on? All right. So, all the best for that, Virgo. Don't be afraid to go down deep and look at the underlying layers, and there could be some really useful revelations and understandings about your own motivations or even fears to come out of it. So please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Libra Rising, the full moon in the sign of Scorpio at 11 degrees on the 1st or 2nd of May, that is happening in your second house of your resources, your finances, the money that you earn, Libra, your income, and also your sense of self-worth. So it's a really good chance to be going down into your deep underlying layers and thinking about, what are you worth? What am I worth? I am a Libra sun. So this is me as well. So do we value ourselves enough? And is this reflected in the resources and the possessions that we have, the worldly resources? Okay, because it's Scorpio, it's very deep, and it can be intense. It's a chance to be looking at your beliefs about wealth and your beliefs about, do you deserve wealth? And do you deserve to have wealth from sources of wealth that you respect, that reflect your values? What's going on under there? Are there some fears, some kind of old pattern that's running and on automatic? And if you have the time and the space, and the moon might just bring up this anyway, these issues anyway, so that you just are forced to look at them, to look at what's going on about your sense of self-worth and how that's reflected in your actual material earthly possessions. You also might find that there's a difference between what you say that you value and what you actually value. So it's a really good chance to look at that and to get real about it. And yeah, all the best for that, Libra. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. So there we go, everyone. That is my analysis of the Scorpio full moon that we've got coming up this week. I encourage us all, including myself, to be going down deep and looking at those fears and accepting them, forgiving them, embracing all those parts of ourselves, our shadow side. And even when it comes to others, like, yes, we have to acknowledge power dynamics and not be taken for a ride by other people if they're playing us or manipulating in some way, and to be, straightforward about that. But we can also recognize and forgive in others when some of the behaviors are motivated by fears. And always on the other side of the coin from fear is love, because fear is just about, it's a survival instinct. It's this tender little child inside us that just wants to survive. And, that's created a pattern in us as adults. So honest and not taking on the power dynamics, but also forgiving and accepting and caring about others. So all the best for that. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. And I'll be back with another video next week.